Hello and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sarah Alspaugh and I will be your webinar host coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio, here in the US. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, our topic, Digital Lifecycle Excellence for Energy and Utilities. And I'd like to welcome and introduce our speakers today. I will read from their bios here and then quickly turn things over. With us, we have John Nixon, John Lusty, and William Hahn. John Nixon is a senior director focused on global strategy for energy and utilities. He is responsible for developing and executing the strategic plan to grow and expand business and shape Siemens digital industry software product development priorities, technologies, and portfolio investments for the energy industry. John has over 27 years of experience in global strategy, business development, and project management in energy, mining, oil and gas, wastewater, and environmental reclamation. He has been awarded patents for pipeline repair technologies and has served on several boards for energy startups and the National Corrosion Center. John is based in Houston, Texas. And we have John Lusty with us. John is the leader of global industry marketing for the energy and utilities industry at Siemens, and he has over 25 years of experience in numerous sectors of the energy and process industries. John joined Siemens in 2012 and has held positions in sales, industry solutions, and now industry marketing. He's a geologist by training and lives in Calgary in Western Canada. And also we have with us William Hahn. In his current capacity as Director of Solutions Consulting at Siemens, Mr. Hahn manages a team of technical solution consultants developing software solutions for the energy sector. He previously worked for a major pipeline operator focusing on asset integrity engineering and operations and maintenance support. Prior to his energy sector experience, Mr. Hahn worked for nearly a decade in operations planning and systems engineering support roles with the International Space Station at NASA's Johnson Space Center. All right, well, we're very excited to have all three of you here with us today. Welcome to you all. And John, I know you're going to go ahead and kick us off as presenter here, so just give me one moment and I will turn things over.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. And I'm just going to turn off video while we're presenting everybody so that we don't disturb the wizards of bandwidth and cause us any problems. So first off, thank you everybody, regardless of where you are, for joining us today. It's currently a dark morning up here in Western Canada, but we're glad to get this up and rolling. Today we're going to talk about an overview of our digital lifecycle excellence digital thread. So digital lifecycle excellence, you'll hear us in this presentation sometimes refer to it as DLE. It's what we call a digital thread solution. Digital threads are not really a software product that we sell. You can't buy a license of digital lifecycle excellence.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, John. We don't see your slides just yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's always a glitch, and I guess that's it, right? There we go. How's that?
Yes. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thankfully, I didn't get deep enough into it to
cause. Well, now that you got that out of the way, we're ready to go.
All right, rock and roll.
There we go.
Okay, so as I said, there really isn't a license for digital lifecycle excellence, but a digital thread is supported by underlying software software solutions used in energy, utilities, chemical, and mining industries that, when you put them together, support a high-value approach, such as digital lifecycle excellence that solves compelling business problems for customers. Today, what we're going to do is break the discussion down into three main points. First, John Nixon and myself will talk about the industry trends that we're seeing and their implications that we commonly hear from customers that they need support in helping to solve. Then Bill Hahn is going to take us deeper into some of the underlying solutions that are being used to achieve digital lifecycle excellence around the world today. So we're going to have a nice mix of industries discussions today and how that relates to DLE, and then dive in and show you some software. So hoping we've got a good show set up for you today. So first, on some industry trends, let's get us all aligned on today's market perspective. John, can you please walk us through the first two?
Yeah, let me kick you off here. So, in the energy industry, energy and utility industry today, we're really being rocked by waves of change, right? They're coming from every direction. Look how much the price of oil has just shifted all over the place, right? So let's look at these four trends. On the first one here, energy businesses, we're under incredible pressure to deliver top tier financial performance. more than ever, right? Especially when you look at different segments like oil and gas, for example, which is under an incredible amount of pressure right now as we're shifting more towards renewables. Not only to, we don't, when it comes to financial performance, not only do you need to meet business goals and objectives, but you need to be viewed favorably, right, in the eyes of shareholders. You've got to draw a hard line, right, to that profit and loss statement. E&U businesses are asset intensive and must have access to adequate capital funding. And if lenders are concerned, they're going to be reluctant to lend. When you look at uncertainty, volatility in the global economy has a strong impact on the demand for energy. And the energy industry especially is very tightly balanced. And changes in either supply or demand can have a radical impact on commodity prices. So, these days, if businesses don't have a high degree of certainty, John Lusty, those capital investments, they won't invest if they don't see an attractive return coming from those investments.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, John. And from a digital adoption perspective, the rate of digitalization, it's accelerating everywhere, and it's accelerating in this industry. Historically, we've seen over decades that the energy, and for folks, when we say energy, we can mean energy utilities, we can mean energy utilities, chemicals, process, and mining. We cover a lot of industries, but sometimes we bundle it all in energy. So historically, our energy industry has been a little bit slow to incorporate new technologies, new digital technologies. We're really good on production technologies, but digital technology has been a little bit slower compared to some of the other industries. But the other side of that reality is that there's really huge opportunities for improvement that still remain untapped in many organizations that we can tap into, honestly, right when they're needed more. It's gotten a lot better than it used to be. Like the price crunches of the last few years, and of course the craziness. It was right around I think about a year ago now, John, that the price of crude oil went negative. Right, if you remember that, seems like
that's crazy.
Seems like a long year. But so there's been a lot of things done as companies scrambled to try to gain some advantages, but there's a lot more to get done. Right. And then finally, the aging demographics, something that impacts everybody, including us here at Siemens. The rate of aging demographics is accelerating, and that there's a massive loss of corporate knowledge that was earned over decades that's preparing to walk out the door. So, how will businesses going to protect their IP? How are they going to still have access to a lot of that information that only exists in the minds of seasoned knowledge workers and maybe buried within the logic of thousands and thousands of Excel spreadsheets? It's a big problem. So how are you going to replace those workers when competition for top tier is so high? It's an important question affecting every one of our industries. So now what I want to do is just take those trends that we just talked about, and let's drill into them a little bit deeper one by one. John talked about the pressure for financial performance, and usually in the energy industry, it was about production. Financial performance went up when production went up, and certainly in the oil and gas industry, the greatest success was usually found in the drill bit and the underlying geology. But with energy transition, with a lot of the easy reserves already being found, and new constraints emerging from the world of energy transition, which is just changing so many things. Growth may be capped. The ability to drill may be capped. The ability to invest may be capped. So how are we going to improve financial performance? It's got to be through increasing efficiencies, or more and more, it's going to be through increasing efficiencies. So, what we're hearing from the marketplace is the need to adopt that digital twin mindset so that we can make operations more responsive. We have the ability in energy to historically, we didn't typically look much to the left and the right of our respective industries. I don't want to say we had blinders on, but we were very focused in terms of what was in front of us.
So John, I'd make one comment here. When you state here a digital twin mindset, and John or Bill Hahn's going to go through his discussion later on that really kind of explains what that means. But I look at it like this: every time you move from one discipline to the next, from design to construction, construction to commissioning, commissioning to operations, you have this introduction of risk. And unless you have confidence in well-orchestrated, secure data from one discipline to the next. You're introducing risk, you're introducing rework, you're introducing the possibility that you're not going to be aligned with requirements. And so with that noise in the machine, if you will, right? If you don't eliminate that, those are costs you never budget. Nobody ever budgets handover, right?
Yeah.
From say design to construction. So there's a lot of inefficiencies without a digital twin mindset that you'll never budget for, and you'll always ask yourself, why am I behind on schedule, or why am I over on budget? Anyway, I don't want to rabbit trail that, but that's when I see digital twin mindset. I think a lot about the entire life cycle and removing those inefficiencies of poorly orchestrated data.
Yeah, well, and I so like the point, John, about how it's never budgeted for, because we've all seen the reports coming out of the big SI firms that projects are always late, they're over budget, et cetera. And there's a lot of targets pointed at us. And hey, for everybody on the line, remember, at Siemens, we're not just a software company. We are an engineering company. We are a manufacturing company. We own and operate facilities, so we know exactly what everybody on the line is going through. And John, the quote from Brian Ferguson, who was the former CEO at Cenovus Energy, comes to mind, in that he referred to the manufacturing mindset that the company was going to have to adopt. And as they move towards more of a replicating their SAG-D operations, or steam-assisted gravity drainage operations, where he concluded at the end of the day, they're going to cookie cutter these plants, and they're going to get super efficient at how to produce them and how to operate their performance, so that they can stand them up quickly and get them producing predictably as quickly as we can. So it was a great example. That's probably 2-3 years old now, of the industry saying, "Hey, wait a second. There are techniques we can adopt that maybe 5 years ago we would have thought it's an automotive or a manufacturing thing, and it doesn't apply to us in energy and utilities and chemicals and mining, et cetera, but it does." Right. So, one of the things we do with digital, with the core core benefits of a digital lifecycle excellence approach, is that it consolidates the knowledge, the corporate knowledge, such that that's now available to help accelerate innovation. Because there's a lot coming at us in this industry. We don't know where the next black swan event is going to be, but we know we're going to have to innovate our way out of it. And if we're going to do that, our people are going to need first-class access to their data, so that they can use that creativity and align it with new technology to be able to produce insights that they don't have now. And this segs, very. I mentioned, the next black swan event is around the corner, and now we're talking about uncertainty impacting investments. Investments in energy and utilities, they got to compete with people that are thinking about, well, do I invest in another capital asset, or do I invest in hey, vaccine technology, or is it an electronic vehicle? So our industry needs to compete with everybody else, and to do that, we've got to be able to show growth, right, in our revenues. And if that's challenged because of pressure at the drill bit, or capacity limitations, or capital asset limitations, one of the things I can do is defer major investments. Maybe I won't shut down that plant. Maybe I'll extend the service life of that plant. I'll change out this vessel. I'll thicken that line. I'll change the metallurgy here. I can get another 5 years out of this thing. More and more that's happening. Or, how can we use, again, the digital twin of that capital asset? How can I apply advanced simulation against that model and determine, what do I got to do to extend the operating range, so that I can improve vessel performance or system performance, so I can operate in more extreme environments, and push my investments a little harder, get them to work harder for me. And as we've all seen, in whether you're a small, medium size, or large corporation, tools that do not work together really don't help me all that much. I had a senior executive at a major oil and gas company here locally say, we've got 3,500 different pieces of software in our company, and we still can't get full value out of our data. It wasn't supposed to work like this, right? So, one of the things I've always admired about Siemens, and as people heard Sarah say, I joined Siemens about 9 years ago last week, as a matter of fact, John. But the previous couple of decades were spent working in the world where technology information didn't connect all that well, and it was really hard to move between the paper barrier and the digital barrier. And we've always had an adoption or a methodology of open standards between between software tools. Because if you think about the other industries that we serve, if you've got dealing with the complexity of the supply chain in automotive and in aerospace, tools have to work together. People
Right.
have to be able to exchange information, and it can't be some massive translation. And there was a lot of work done in that
Well,
space for those industries that we can apply here.
John Lusty, when I read and I hear what you're saying about open standards and cloud enhanced performance, it makes me think about the fact that if you're out in the field at a construction trailer and you're responsible for inspections and testing of, equipment as it's being assembled, and I'm speaking from experience, and you find that the systems, the company you're working for, the large owner operator, are difficult at best to capture data with. You always default back to the easiest way. So you might take a 3-ring binder out to the field, right, to capture data. You find yourself creating Excel spreadsheets. So, having open standards for cloud enhanced performance, in other words, making it easy and making sure that the data is fully interoperable, the easier you make it, the less you have of activating human behavior, which is to say, I'll just create a spreadsheet for that, right? And now you have uncontrolled data. So anyway, I don't want to rabbit trail this in the interest of time, but when I hear that, I always think about how many spreadsheets must really exist on some of these projects because the systems aren't easy to work with, or there's just something there that activates the human condition, which is I'll just use Excel to solve the problem.
Well, and you and I both know the only people that truly understand how some of these complex spreadsheets work are the people that have made them.
That's right.
They're retiring. So
that segues into your next point, right? The aging demographic, right? Because if you are looking to attract top new talent, right, as you're seeing your aging workforce leave, they take all that logic in the spreadsheets with them. And then, what's interesting, John Lusty, about this last point, when you talk about attracting top new talent and having an immersive digital twin of operations and so forth, I mean, we're talking to customers today, and Bill Hahn knows this, who'll speak later, who are telling us, look, we have to modernize because we're not even able to attract young talent because they don't see the energy industry as exciting. I mean, are they literally walking into an environment where it would be almost like me, someone my age walking in trying to use a Fortran card? It'd be like, are you kidding me? I mean, so, when somebody walks into your energy business, are they actually stepping back in time 10 years because of the systems you use? So I find this, this point here about attracting top new talent is actually far more acute than I think most people realize in the energy industry.
Well, and I think it not only impacts the way our knowledge workers are going to interact with their data to make meaningful improvements, which is what we're also thinking about, but it sure is a better attractor too with when you're trying to bring in those new STEM graduates and be able to show them, hey, this is the environment you're going to be working with. And if it's a green screen, they're probably going to take the next offer, right? But if you're showing them you can interact with their data with augmented reality and they're working on the cloud and they can develop their own applications and make it look really cool, adapt their interfaces the way they want to. Now you're in a place where people are going to conclude I can spread my wings in this environment. So but so no, it's a great time to be in the industry, and John, as varied as these challenges are across our spread of industries right now, there's really one common element that is impacting each industry. Can you talk about that now, please?
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's, the hard reality, the challenges facing the utilities, chemicals, mining industries, and it's regardless of whether you're an equipment manufacturer, an EPC, or an owner operator. The challenges are really the result of one common factor, and that's complexity. So, however, for us at Siemens, when we think about complexity, we believe the true disruptors in this industry, won't be those who are trying to limit it, but are embracing that complexity, right? We believe you need to move faster to bring innovative technologies, right, that support production more effectively than your competition. You want to lower those engineering costs as well, as we're talking about, right? Decrease operations and maintenance costs, like we talked about. You do that with a digital twin. Bill will talk about that. You also need to create new business and operating models, and you got to out and innovate your competition. Which, with Accelerator, I think, Bill, you're going to be talking about that too as well, to build differentiation through insights that your competition is not going to easily duplicate. So we believe the businesses that succeed will be the ones again, who embrace this complexity that we're seeing. It always increases, like entropy, and transform this complexity into a competitive advantage. John Leslie, I'm going to hand it back to you. How do we transform complexity into that competitive advantage I just, talked about?
Yep. So for everybody, we're going to introduce a new term here. At Siemens, we're going to help people do that with our accelerator portfolio. So with a comprehensive digital twin at its core, integrated software and services plus rapid application development, all within a modern cloud environment, Accelerator is the innovation catalyst for the digital enterprise. It's if you think about the industries we serve, because we work with leading companies not only in energy but in highly competitive industries like aerospace and defense and automotive and heavy equipment, healthcare, you name it. Everybody has one. The common challenge they're facing is complexity. The common solution is going to be innovation. So, what is the tool bench that they're going to use to conquer that complexity? So, from conceptual design all the way through to field operations for our people, Accelerator is going to remove the traditional constraints, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a one-person startup, right up to a multinational business in energy and the process industries. So, John, when we talk about Accelerator as an innovation platform, it's not just about big data, because in a complex world, some will argue that that big data is going to speak for itself and solve all of the problems automatically, and that would just be awesome. However, studies have shown that some correlations are due to the size of the data and not the actual nature of the data. So, John, did you know we saw recently here there was a study conducted where it was discovered that a very high correlation exists between the number of people in the U.S. that have achieved a doctorate degree in civil engineering and the per capita consumption of mozzarella cheese.
Oh
Isn't
yeah.
that something? So I think you're a civil engineer, John. Do you have a comment on that?
Hey, I like mozzarella cheese, but I don't have a PhD in civil engineering. Come on.
So, okay. So in all seriousness, how we actually work with the vast quantities of data available to us and avoid the hazards of large data. As John likes to say, we don't want big data to become big garbage. So, John, talk to us on how we accomplish this through three key competitive advantages that we're going to enable with Accelerator.
Absolutely. All right. So we can accomplish this through three key components, Mr. Lusty, that Accelerator was architected to provide, right? Everything we've been talking about. First, the most comprehensive digital twin on the market today. With the insights and data from the most comprehensive digital twin of your assets, these companies can operate more flexibly and connected and really have connected facilities, right, to accommodate a wider range of plant performance so that they can respond faster as, market conditions change, all the volatility we've talked about. Second, by providing modern, adaptable, and personalized solutions. Translation, don't default to Excel, right? Siemens is helping the energy industry meet the challenges, right, of global workforce diversity and multiple cross-discipline collaboration to deliver equipment and material in scope, on time, and under budget. When I say cross-discipline, I don't just mean engineering disciplines. I'm talking about all the disciplines, construction, and throughout the supply chain. And finally, with a flexible open ecosystem, Siemens's open digital strategy allows for all energy industry stakeholders and service providers to align with their ultimate customers' processes and expand upon the value they provide while contributing to their customers' bottom line. And when I say, their customers' processes, I mean, we're talking about the scenarios where you've got very large owner operators with multiple third parties providing equipment, material, design, and so forth, all of that working against standards, as we talked about earlier. So, John Lusty, how can we help our customers realize what I just talked about as competitive advantage?
Yep. So that's been a great discussion, John, on how we arrive for the needs of the digital threads. And what we're going to do today as we wrap up kind of the business conversation segment is we're going to drill into the digital twin by handing over to Bill in just a second. But we just want to let everybody know there's actually 4 digital twins, and we're going to be coming back with, over the not too distant future here with installments with each of these digital threads. But the first one we want to talk about is digital lifecycle excellence. And it is by definition a flexible open ecosystem that's really targeting at eliminating the silos of information that are common in energy and utilities that trap a lot of value. that's needed to be able to improve those efficiencies we talked about for production operation for long-term success. And if we can open that up and apply a digital life cycle approach, there are a lot of new methodologies that can be applied, and that's what Bill's going to talk about today. Next, we've got the next one that we're going to be bringing out is integrated design and configuration, which provides the ability for design teams to develop and improve equipment and system designs in less time, right? So we can compress that factor. We've got to be able to move with greater agility. So we want folks to be able to collaborate better using integrated 2D and 3D design, and then apply cutting edge technologies such as additive manufacturing, augmented and virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to really accelerate how their companies can adopt and, again, take that complexity that is out there for every single one of us and turn it into a competitive advantage. John, you want to take the last two?
Yeah, our advanced engineering simulation solutions, they apply multidiscipline, predictive 1D and 3D engineering analytics, and what we refer to as design space exploration to improve performance and produce better designs faster. And when I say design space exploration, I'm talking about removing human bias, right? Parameterizing your variables in design. It's a very exciting demonstration of what's achievable in design. And it's unfortunate we don't have enough time to talk about all this today.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to come back and revisit this with another webinar, because advanced engineering simulation with design space exploration, I always get excited just watching it and seeing it in operation. And finally, on operational excellence, you can you can extract, I should say, the greater value and insights from the digital twin by integrating the asset's full life cycle, right? It's operational data, incident and outage reporting, asset maintenance records, and then do physics-based analytics that support a more predictable, profitable, and sustainable operation. So, you know what? Let's get to Bill as quickly as we can here. Let's kick off digital life cycle excellence with a video. And John Lusty, back over to you.
Energy. It's neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms. Energy is life. It moves us. It warms us up and feeds us. It surrounds us, makes us dream. Energy improves our day-to-day and transforms our world into a better world. Now it's your turn. Your turn to transform your energy business. Transform complexity into a competitive advantage with Siemens Digital Lifecycle Excellence. Improve your information availability and lower operational risks in the energy and utilities industry. Connect the life cycle of your capital projects to operational performance with a continuous digital thread that improves margins, responsiveness, and innovation. Unlock the full value of your enterprise data, digitalizing your data management to make better decisions faster in the extremely volatile energy market. Adopt the digital thread approach to optimize coordination and collaboration across internal project teams, suppliers, and all project stakeholders. Reduce project delivery costs and maintenance costs, and increase efficiency and productivity to transform complexity into a competitive advantage with Siemens Digital Lifecycle Excellence. Siemens, where today meets tomorrow.
Over to you, Mr. Hahn.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to pick up here with a little deeper dive on our 3 competitive advantages. So starting with the digital twin, I'll talk a little bit about Siemens' definition of the digital twin. And it's the most comprehensive digital twin in the market today. And if you're familiar with the term digital twin, you've probably heard pieces of what you see on the screen today, with some companies out there thinking, okay, I've got the 3D CAD model, I've got the digital twin, or I have simulation data, I have the digital twin. Or some companies just focusing on the operation space, they have some IoT analytics and they can predict failure events, they can predict what may happen and how their asset is performing, and that is how they define the digital twin. But to Siemens, it's really a combination of all these things, right? It doesn't help us if I know that this piece of equipment is going to fail. When now that I know it's going to fail, okay, well now I have to contact somebody, right, to go inspect that asset or to repair or replace that asset. And then I have to go find those procedures to go do that replacement. And then I have to understand, well, do I just replace it with the same thing? Is it going to happen again, right? How do I understand if there needs to be improvement so that it doesn't happen again? So it's more than just knowing that something is going to fail so that I can go replace it. It's connecting all of the data all the way back from design. So understanding, how that asset was designed, why that piece of equipment was chosen, the simulation data around that design to understand how it's performing and how it could be performing better, and then driving that through the planning information to plan out how that operation is going to occur, the commissioning of that asset, and then driving that back into the IoT analytics from the maintenance perspective. So it's getting the insights from performance of how your asset is performing, and then having this continuous improvement cycle that drives information through the digital twin, those digital threads that we talked about, that's moving information from design through planning, through commissioning, and through maintenance. So you really have to consider data across the entire life cycle of the asset to have a comprehensive digital twin, and not just have tunnel vision on one area, whether it's in operations or design. So what we can provide with this comprehensive digital twin is that seamless integration across these digital twins and creating a closed loop digital twin that feeds back the insights from performance and then has that continuous improvement loop from maintenance back into design. So talking a little bit about the personalized, adaptable, modern user experience as our second competitive advantage. So we can't really address this without first addressing the cloud. And I think John mentioned this earlier, that the cloud is really a technology that the industry is looking at to get their data out into the field and get large amounts of data out into the field, but then be able to make sense of that information, make sense of that complexity. And at Siemens, we offer cloud solutions, but at your way and your pace. We're not forcing our customers into any one particular model. So we have SaaS applications. I'll talk about a few of those in a minute. We have managed services offerings where we can manage customized solutions in the cloud. We have public cloud support and private cloud support, and also traditional on-premise installations of our software. So and hybrid models where maybe some pieces of information are critical and need to be on-premise and some information needs to be in the cloud. So we're here to support you with your cloud journey and the pace at which your company is going to the cloud to take advantage of that technology. So with that, I wanted to talk about a foundational element of our accelerator portfolio, and that is Mendix, a modern cloud platform. So there's three components of Mendix I wanted to talk about today. The first is Mendix is a low, no-code development platform. So what that means is within your organization, your users, and not just IT, but business users as well, can build applications, build modern user experiences 10 times faster with 70% less resources. We have a lot of customers we're working with today in the market that are validating those numbers, customers such as ConocoPhillips. We have also a multi-experience platform. So what this means is we can deploy applications for any channel, any device, online and offline, and smart and connected. So deploying applications directly to iPhone and Android, deploying that application simultaneously to a web application, deploying it to any type of hosting environment, whether that's AWS, whether it's Azure, whether it's Cloud Foundry, that cloud native technology that provides all the benefits of the modern cloud with one environment, with one click. So from a multi-cloud perspective, being able to one-click deploy this to any public or private cloud, as well as on-premise, gives you all the benefits of that modern cloud architecture. So this is really that foundation of Accelerator, the foundational technology that can bring even your existing enterprise solutions into the 21st century. And I'll talk about that as well in a minute. So I'm going to introduce a couple of software as a service SaaS applications that are built on this Mendix Cloud platform, and that is Teamcenter X and Polarion X. And on the next slide, I'll talk about some of the solutions, user use cases that we can provide with these solutions across the digital threads. So these are instant-on solutions. They grow with you. And like I said, they're built on that modern cloud platform. So you can take advantage of all the benefits of the cloud and of the native cloud by using these solutions. So let's dive into the digital threads and these proven solutions. So we're here today to talk about digital lifecycle excellence. I'll give a small teaser into some of the other digital threads that'll be coming up in the next few months here with some events that we'll be doing. But starting with digital lifecycle excellence, the first bullet point there, we're having a lot of activity and success with customers today around bid and tender contracts and requirements management. This is really the start of any project. It's about as far left as you can shift from optimizing your business processes, and it's about going from that document-centric view to the data-centric view. How do we get out of Microsoft Word and get to a data-centric decision-making workflow where the requirements are actually objects, digital objects, instead of having to scroll through a 100-page Word document to find that requirement? And then how do we have traceability between those requirements to the actual design and then into operations? So using my example before from the digital twin, when something does go wrong, well, why did we choose that piece of equipment? What was the requirement behind it? What was the specification behind it? What were the conversations we had with the supply chain on choosing that particular piece of equipment? Having that digital connectivity so that information is immediately available to the users is a massive improvement into the way that requirements management is done today. And then change document and process management. So how do we streamline our business processes? How can we have a digital change management process to understand what is actually the impact of a change on that particular asset? Like the example I just mentioned, can the system automatically present to me the requirements that define those specifications that define that design when something does go wrong? Can it automatically look for connected simulations that define how that asset is supposed to perform? Can it automatically pull in the IoT information and the analytics on how it's actually performing compared to that simulation data? So this all centers around change management and business process management to make sure that you're looking at all the pieces of information. Those pieces of information are presented to the users in a digital workflow process, and everyone that needs to be a part of that workflow process is automatically brought in via notifications and workflow. A little bit on some of the other digital threads, just briefly, integrated design and configuration. So how can I manage my engineering data in a single environment? How can I have a single design platform that brings together not only the 3D information, but all of the simulation data? How can I visualize, mark up, and interrogate that engineering data? You'll see that coming up in integrated design and configuration. For advanced engineering simulation, John Nixon spoke briefly about design space exploration. How do we optimize our designs? Not just simulate, but connect multiple simulation tools together and goal seek a particular target, a performance target we're looking for, and having the simulation run thousands of iterations automatically that converge on what that best solution is. And then how do we connect our simulations to real-time information, to IoT data? With closed-loop system simulation, we can actually take our simulation tools, run them in the cloud on our MindSphere IoT platform, and connect that to real-time information as inputs. So we can run these real-time simulations in the loop, understand how our assets are performing, and how we can better improve how those assets are performing. And then with operational excellence, we talk about operations and maintenance. So, maintenance is really about making the right decisions at the right time and having the data available in the field to be able to make those decisions. So how do we connect all this enterprise data that's probably across 15 siloed systems at the back office? How do we connect that to the IoT data and then present that in an adaptable, modern user experience in a mobile application that's powered by an integrated data lake that everyone in the field has access to at their fingertips to make those better decisions? And that leads into the concept of our data hub, which is really about unlocking and extending your existing data and systems across your enterprise. And I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide here, where we talk about the flexible open ecosystem. So this is the third competitive advantage that we have with Accelerator. So what is the Mendix Data Hub, the data hub that I just mentioned? Well, it's a low-code way to bring all of your enterprise systems together into a single catalog. So it's creating a catalog of information that's available to your enterprise by using open standards to automatically connect all of your existing systems, your ERP systems, your EAM systems, your document management systems, bringing that all together into a single low-code interface where, for example, you can drag and drop saying, I want this attribute from system A to go over here and be written into system B, and do that without any coding at all, without any knowledge of how to write those APIs. The Mendix Data Hub takes care of all that for you, and you're now drag and dropping information where you need it. So if you need to create a low-code mobile application that goes out to the field, you can easily drag and drop all of this data from your enterprise systems and make that available to the end user in the field the way they need to see the data. So the Data Hub glues together your data to your apps, and you're going to have a lot of applications in the field, whether it's in the office, whether it's out at your assets in the field, and they're going to span a lot of different forms. There may be mobile applications. You may have AR, VR applications that you develop. There may be wearables and tying into wearable devices. There'll be applications running in the cloud like advanced artificial intelligence and advanced analytics, BI tools. So all of these applications to be successful need access to all this back office enterprise information, system information that might be sitting in SAP or an IBM Maximo or Primavera or a system like Siemens Teamcenter. How do we get this information out of these enterprise systems and into these applications in the way that our users need to see that? And we can use the Data Hub to do that very quickly without any coding at all. So the Mendix Data Hub unlocks and extends your existing data and systems, so you can integrate data and logic from any data source. We have pre-built connectors, so drag and drop connectors, for example, to SAP, IBM, Salesforce, Oracle, and we have partnerships with companies like SAP where they maintain these connectors, right? So you can be confident when you use a drag and drop connector to automatically bring in SAP information, it's going to be future-proofed, right? It's going to be updated along with the updates of the various software components so that that connection will always work when you leverage it in your applications. And then we have standards-based integrations as well, so connections via REST, SOAP, XML, and OData without any coding. Imagine pointing an application to a REST service, and then Mendix automatically builds the data model and the available calls to that data model automatically just by talking to that service without having to build that manually through heavy coding and APIs. So from a high-level architecture perspective, what does Accelerator look like when it's built on Mendix? And this is a view to the right. At the bottom, we have the data layer. This is all the information across your enterprise that's sitting in multiple silos today. And you probably have a good portion of these boxes already filled. The problem is that these systems sit in a silo, and a user has to log into 5, 10, 15 different systems just to make a single decision. So we have engineering type data, CAD data, simulation data, enterprise data like ERP data, OT data coming from devices like SCADA systems historians directly off the device, off of edge devices. So in the middle, we're providing this data hub, which creates a catalog of all that information. And we do that via native integrations with our software. We do that via the Mendix Studio plugins. These are these drag and drop connectors that I talked about, like the SAP connector. We have connectors to our MindSphere IoT platform, so we can directly connect assets from the edge directly into the data hub. And then we have a multi-system integration capability enabled by eCube, where we can bring in any OData service, any web service, and point it to the data hub, and then bring that information into that catalog. Once it's in the catalog, the next layer up is the user experience layer, and any application in that user experience layer can have one location, one catalog to go to curate all that information up into the user experience layer. So whether it's a native client, whether it's a BI and analytics tool like Teamcenter Reporting and Analytics or a Tableau, whether it's a Mendix low-code app that you actually develop in the field that your business users can create with low code to bring all that information into one user experience for your end users, and are also our integrated data lake, which is powered by Minds, where we can bring together the enterprise data with the OT data and provide that up to the users with adaptable user experiences. So all of this, all of these layers that are part of the accelerator platform support the 4 digital threads that we talked about today, and specifically that we're talking about today, digital lifecycle excellence. So I'm going to show a quick video here of an application of an app that we've actually built for one of our customers. It's around a maintenance application for a wind farm. And we're going to dive in here, and we're going to have GIS information on the left that shows the various wind turbine assets. We're going to dive into maybe one of those assets and see more information about it. So here we're pulling information on whether it's running or not. This might be coming from a SCADA system or a data historian. We can then look at a viewer of maybe the engineering data. This could be coming from a system like Siemens Teamcenter, where we could pull the 3D data. We could explode that information. We can start interrogating the different pieces of equipment that may need to be repaired or serviced on that particular asset. And we're doing this without the user realizing they're spanning multiple enterprise systems. Here we have simulation data. So we can pull in the various simulation tools and simulation data and then present that to the user as well. And then asset service reporting. So maybe an IBM Maximo looking at work orders, service history, work orders that need to be completed. All of this information is now available to the user without realizing that there may be 5, 6, 7 different enterprise systems behind it. This field technician, in this case, is just doing their job. They're driving down the street, getting an alert on their cell phone that says, hey, you just drove past a wind turbine that needs some repair. Turn in, make your next left turn, because we could, with mobile native applications, we can tap into their GPS, we can tap into things like the accelerometer, all the information on that phone. That technician makes that turn, pulls up the application, can see how it's running, how it's been performing, IoT data, SCADA data, pull up the procedure, the repair procedures from a document management system. They don't have to log into or go into multiple different user interfaces to pull multiple pieces of information. They just make that right decision at the right time because all that information is available at their fingertips. So that's just one example of a digital twin we created for a customer of ours. So with that, in summary, we talked about the comprehensive digital twin. We talked about how we can provide that digital twin in a personalized, adaptable, modern user experience, and how we have a flexible, open ecosystem with our data hub, where it's not just Siemens solutions that are going to be provided on this digital twin. We can integrate in all of your legacy systems, your entire enterprise, bring all that data into the digital twin onto that adaptable, modern user experience. So with that, I will pass it back to Sarah.
And this concludes today's webinar. Thank you so much for being here, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. I will